Scorpio, this is your December reading. So looking back at the last couple of days of November and just before the solar eclipse new moon on the 3rd or 4th of December, it seems like you were in some sort of a serious bind on something. There was some sort of a freeing from a toxic entanglement, I feel like, that was pretty important to you around the end of November. Then coming into the month of December, it started with you still feeling like, how am I going to liberate myself from this? It looks like a long road ahead of me. But really the Eight of Swords and the Devil card are pretty much like similar energies. I mean, this is when it's gotten a bit too serious though. But it kind of like, it's the trappings of the Eight of Swords gone way too far, and it does seem sometimes hopeless, like you're going to be stuck in a situation forever. When it reverses, this Devil card becomes the liberation that we finally see in the Lovers card. So maybe let me think now. Oh yeah, there's also a full moon in Gemini this month. It's not quite an eclipse, but it's falling around the 18th, 19th of the month. So you might feel like around this time, like a further wrapping up around something you're experiencing around the solar new moon eclipse in the sister sign of Sagittarius. So there are a couple of dates to look out for this month, Scorpio. Around the 3rd and 4th of the month and around the 18th, 19th of the month, you're noticing like now things are starting to change. Okay, so December sees you kind of on this emotional journey, transforming continuously. The eights in tarot are really all about transformation numerically and things not being the same after we complete the task ahead of us in this card. So you're being asked to kind of make a transition away from something emotionally. And once you get the emotional work out of the way this month in December, I think this is going to be probably after that eclipse around the beginning of the month, which will be kind of like a new beginning altogether for you, like some sort of fresh energy coming into your life. You would have had maybe like kind of some sort of a feeling for this or like a flavor on this about 6 months previous to this date and 12 months previous to this date. In and around this time, certain things might have been beginning or changing, and you see this as a continued sort of note on that kind of book. But by the time you deal with the emotional issues of the month of December, you begin to think and talk about work and collaboration and networking and your own skills. And some of you are thinking about publishing or writing or doing something where you're creating more content or some sort of piece of art. Some of you are just like talking to people about refining your skills in December. Some of you have something really important to say, something really valuable to say or bring to some sort of a group setting, or bringing people together in a way that's really beneficial for you. But once you deal with basically the major issue of late November coming into December, before the eclipse really broke all of this tension and broke some of these chains of destiny and karma that we're still holding on to you. These are really major energies. These are so far the only major arcana cards that came through in your reading, Scorpio, but we haven't pulled all of our cards yet, and they're coming through in the past position. So it's telling me that maybe the most intensity you feel between late November coming into the new year has already in a sense happened. But let's see what else comes through. Massive liberation needed to have taken place for you. So as we enter Capricorn season, let's say around the 22nd of the month of December, you do focus on money. And it's interesting, I have the Three of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles is also a Capricorn card, Sun in Capricorn here. Okay, so that's okay. That's like us refocusing on money, I suppose. There is this sense of at the end of the month, like, oh, did I spend too much? You know, the kind of, maybe it's just like coming with like some sort of overzealousness with like luxury around the holidays, whatever it may be, you're starting to think like, oh damn, I didn't really budget for that. But you see many options and ways forward. It's not like a big concerning deal to you. You just know that it's kind of getting back to the grindstone and starting to save and starting to budget again, or maybe you just have this sort of new calendar year energy and you want to get back to basics or just sort of make some sort of a budget or plan, and whatever you want to do, we will clear that up. But there does seem to be some sort of a refocus on the end of the month towards finances and some sort of a setback, or you feeling like, you know, oh, I overspent or overdid it. But like, again, no biggie. You've plenty of ways out of this and plenty of probably avenues or streams of resources coming through anyways. So you're not too concerned. Why don't we look at these cards together, Scorpio, and see what else is coming through for you? Okay, let's clear up this first row then, Scorpio. The Eight of Swords, the Devil in reverse, and the Lover's card. I think we should actually take 3 cards for this row because we've got both of our major arcanas up here so far. The High Priestess. This was an important time. The Chariot, another major card. Wow. And the Queen of Cups, some water energy. Probably pretty needed some water zen energy after the weight that you've been carrying. Like for a while now around this. This has been something that's been building and building and building for you to let go of. So let's have a look at this. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about as the message of the High Priestess with the Eight of Swords. When I talk to you about this feeling of something that had you trapped, restricted, like a weight on your shoulders, like always thinking about this, like kind of like the monkey on your shoulder, or that like nagging sort of repeating voice in your head, or even the nagging coming from another person, like it was constantly triggering. I feel like you'll know exactly what that was all about, and deep down this is something you know that you've needed to free yourself from the binds from, and even if that doesn't mean like a physical separation or anything, like just stop trying to work really hard not to just wake up and think about this first thing in the morning and let it consume your day. Taking control, the Chariot, of what you basically can control essentially, and not worrying as much about what you can't control. And then the Chariot starts to kind of build up this momentum of, okay, so if I control what I can control and do it well, and I can make strides there and be like proud of myself and accomplish and achieve, like who's to say I can't sort of gain more control in other aspects of my life. And the Devil card in reverse is the liberation from these 8 swords. So it could have gotten worse. In fact, could be the message here, like, okay, you know this sucked with the 8 of Swords, but underneath it all, the Devil in reverse is like, this actually could have gotten a lot more deep, toxic, or like something that you shouldn't have really had to spend more time in. And then the Lover's card is very much like, now you can, this has been really necessary for you to make this journey. It's really brought you back closer to yourself as this water sign energy here, and I see coming through as like a softer with themselves Scorpio, somebody who is a bit more accepting of their own vulnerabilities and their own failings as well. And there is an energy of coming home to yourself around the end of November, coming into December, in a nurturing way, in a really liberated way, free now to do what you want, you may feel. So the Chariot is really, all of these cards are really big. So what's been happening in late November, early December is pretty groundbreaking for you. It seems to think it's coming through as like much more internal. And these cards together, all 3, is really strong indicator for the sign of Cancer too, okay? This is the major for Cancer, the moon ruling the High Priestess and Cancer, and cardinal water here. So a Cancer in your life may have been of incredible significance right now for you, or as of late. But yeah, so for the most part, this isn't really like a big external show for me. This is because Cancer is so internalizing. It does seem like internal, maybe they internalize, but it does seem like this is taking place, this transformation of the 8 of Swords, the way you've been thinking about things on more of like an internal level where it's not so obvious to everybody. For some. Anyways, December, you're well aware of this kind of like, all right, well, I'm leaving this all behind me now. Like, that was something that I had to deal with, overcome, and return home to myself. And I had come so far away from myself, you might have been thinking, in the 8 of Cups. So let's have a look at what comes for you now in December. It seems like a complete change of pace from the emotional side of things that you've been probably like feeling more deeply in, Scorpio. Especially, we just had Scorpio season. We just had the sun transit and illuminate Scorpio in your chart, and you may have your sun there, your rising there, your moon there. The moon in reverse coming through now in December with the 7 of Swords. Okay, this speaks to me a bit more now, and then we have one more 8. Let me just say that at the bottom of the deck, 8 of Wands in reverse. Mercury in Sagittarius. Okay, so let's have a think about that. We do have Mercury in Sagittarius and the Sun in Sagittarius as we enter the month of December. So that might be bringing some sort of focus like around communication to a certain area of your chart, depending on where Sagittarius is in your birth chart. And by the way, guys, if you're interested in any of the astrology for your month ahead based on your rising sign, I have like a detailed video on that already on my YouTube channel. It's called Scorpio Season December Astrology, and that's for each sign a different report. So I'm going to talk to you, and if you're kind of interested in catching up on some of the things I may be talking about here. But there is a full moon, like I said, around the 18th, 19th of the month of December. Now, typically in astrology, full moons can be, of course, the brightest part of the lunar cycle. So that's when things can be shone a light on and things become easier to illuminate. And the Seven of Swords could be something that comes out of the woodwork or comes out from something that was quite unknown before. And it does come through as some sort of a disruption to you because the Eight of Wands is in reverse. So I have a feeling like this news comes about quick and all of a sudden, and you're like, no, that's not what I was expecting to hear. And for some reason, this inconveniences you, or you're just not really a fan of the information. But the moon card in reverse talks about, right, things. Look, if there's something that needs to come out, it's getting kind of dark, right? Like it's kind of getting to the point where like this needs to come out. It's kind of festering energy here. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Something like changing around the 18th, 19th. And it's like, well, if this kept itself hidden any longer, it would have really led to serious miscommunications. And then under that again, the Three of Swords, wow. And then the Judgment card again, it could have really led to something that would have hurt people or hurt someone. So like, wow, let's maybe just say that we need to get something out into the open. So then we can just focus on what we need to focus on, our talents, honing in our skills, creating something, bringing people together with what you're working on, building like a sense of a community. And the Page of Swords is like sharing ideas. You have a lot of ideas in December. So you're probably talking to interesting people. You're probably researching and looking into things that really spark a lot of interest in you, and seeing how you can bring them all together. So if you haven't fully let go of something in the Eight of Cups, this might be when there comes in to have some sort of like darker energy here of something that's hidden and needs to be revealed and is kind of festering. So keep an eye out for that. The full moon energy around the 18th, 19th is also a really good idea or a good time of the month to what would I say, cord cut energetically. But you're making some sort of plans in December anyway about how to move something forward. Maybe it's a project of yours. Maybe you're just not really fully ready to talk about it. And then after the eclipse energy happens, you kind of get the sense of, okay, I can start making a move on this or start speaking about it. Let's look at towards the end of your month now. The Five of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, and the Four of Pentacles. A focus more on the material. There may be some sort of a, oh shit, I overspent, but let's see, I'm not too worried about it. That's the energy I'm picking up here. You're like, oh, I've got another resource coming in, or I've got another payment being made. Early on in December or January, you may be thinking, and that will all figure itself out. So the Hierophant and the Ten of Pentacles. In reverse, the Hierophant coming through here with the Ten of Pentacles. So sure, it's more about the material at this time. It's more about money matters and focus around the end of December. You could be dealing with a Taurus in a bigger way around the end of December. If so, they're encouraging you to do something a little bit differently in terms of what you usually do around how you maybe make money or how you invest your money and how you turn the Four of Pentacles into the Ten of Pentacles. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a Taurus, but the energy of the Hierophant is a radical or new or different way than you would usually do something. It's not to say that this is going to necessarily be the right way, but there is good validity to what the Hierophant chooses to do. They're pretty wise, they're pretty knowledgeable, they do make very calculated risks and assess the situation. So I feel like it's good advice you get around finances, because the Four of Pentacles seems to turn turn into the 10 of Pentacles somehow around the end of December. So the worry that you have, just as it's like an overspending, or maybe you paid too much to take a trip or something, like you booked a vacation and like it just ate into all the money, but I was like, that's kind of what it was there for. And Four of Pentacles, you're like, oh, don't worry, I'm still good on my finances. And then you hear even something better, that you find a new way of doing something that encourages like more money coming in or better flow to you in terms of resources. And also this offers you a sense of longevity around what you're doing. But yeah, okay, interesting. The Empress at the bottom of the deck and the Emperor in reverse at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, there is, I see this as both being you, or if you're in like a partnership with somebody that's maybe not working very successfully or harmoniously at the moment. I mainly see it as you, Scorpio, being at odds with yourself and being at odds with your sort of more feminine masculine duality at the moment. You seem more empowered in your femininity right now. The Emperor card in reverse is just kind of like a little thrown off. If you are in a dynamic with another person in business or in marriage or something like that, the energy may be a little off too, in terms of just balance overall. But I do mainly see this as a conflict within yourself. Some of you may be worrying, if you're a single parent and you play both roles of Emperor and Emperor, a little worried about finances because, you know, the holidays can be an expensive time, no doubt. But so overall, you're quite strong in what you're doing by the end of the month. I see a good end of the month, actually, solid end of the month in terms of material prosperity and success. Well, Scorpio, that was your reading for the month of December. If you wanted to see that astrology like I was talking about, feel free to check in on my channel with that video that I've put up for Sagittarius season. I'll be back with a love and relationship reading for your sign later on in December. Have a great month.